All right, welcome everybody. We got people coming in. I think I saw Elaine, Antoinette, Nolan. Welcome, welcome.
Marty.
Nearby, welcome. Samuel. All right, Jewel, and if people can, uh, as you're coming in, if please feel free to put in the chat where you're dialing in from, and also, if you could we've got people with lots of different experiences. If you can share what your familiarity is with pranic healing, whether you're familiar, if you've had a healing, or it's just your first time here, or more than that. It'd be great to get a sense from people. All right. Mirabai with Ithaca, welcome. And we're waiting to, quite a few people had signed up, so we're making sure that people have a chance to come in. Welcome, Shapa from Maryland. Brand new Pranic Healer, awesome. All right, Nolan from Detroit area, that's a neighbor, all right. Lane, Detroit, of course. All right, Pennsylvania. Welcome, very great to have you, Joel. All right, admitting a couple more. All right, Bucks County, as I'm familiar with, I've heard of that. Maryland. And 2004 from Caroline, wow. And Quebec. Wow. Excellent, excellent. Westchester, Ontario. Joanne, welcome. Jim. Fantastic. Ann Arbor, welcome, Amanda. Another local to me. Lena, welcome. Pennsylvania. So, and are we still letting people know how to come in? Is that, you give it some more? All right. Well, fantastic. Glad everybody's here.
Nice.
Let's give it another minute or two. Let's see. We've got 46 right now. Glad to have everybody. Jessica, Lena, nice to see you. Ross, well, glad you made it. Lucia, Priya, Liza, Amanda, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Welcome, Leslie. Good to have you with us. All right. So, well, welcome everybody. Glad everybody's here. This is the magic of pranic healing. I'm Derek Stottlemyre. I'm the creator of FindMagicPeople. So I'll share a little bit about that, and then we'll have a great time with these amazing presenters with us here today to share about pranic healing. So. I think most of you registered on on FindMagicPeople, but I just wanted to share real briefly. Um, when I was finding myself in need of some personal growth, it was really hard for me to find the resources that were available. I wasn't really in the conversation, and so if you're not connected to anybody, it's hard to get started. And so that's where the seed of the idea of FindMagicPeople came from. It just seems like there's a much better way to connect with like-minded people and find the resources and like what do I want to explore if you don't even know what's available? It's hard to start. So that was the seed of Find Magic People, and I'm very excited because there's some very great there's some changes that I've been waiting to implement for a while. And this Pranic Healing collaboration, Allison's been wonderful. There's a critical mass that is allowing for some new things on the site. And so I think you guys were all familiar with the basic Pranic Healing page, but it's now evolving into a whole space where you can search for offerings, you can search for practitioners, and there's even a discussion section, which hopefully you guys will all be yeah, interested in participating in. So the discussion part is, I'm sorry, the Zoom is interfering with my scrolling. But there's a whole section where we can share both as practitioners to share amongst each other and also with the world. And so people can hopefully, anybody with an account which is free can sign in, add comments, and join the conversation. But then beyond that, you can also see that you can connect with each person, and each person has a pretty sophisticated profile where you can see their calendar, you can get more information. There's a follow button where you get notifications. You can see all of their events. Several people have topics. Kajal is not one of the presenters, but she's got quite a few articles that she's written. And with these pages, you can also contact anybody, and also they have their information page where there's information about them, how to contact them, where they are on social media. And there's also if you've logged in, there's a private message, so you can be in contact with anybody here. So everybody is encouraged to take advantage of everything that Find Magic People offers, stay connected, ask questions, get involved. And it's, I don't know how everybody else feels, but it's nice to me. It's a blessing to have a space that is not full of advertising and not for corporate profit. So it's a nice, calm place to connect with like-minded souls. So that's Find Magic People. Now we have these amazing presenters with us today. So let me have them each introduce themselves, and then I'll be asking questions, and they'll be sharing. And if anybody in the audience has any questions, there's a Q&A button. So feel free to ask any questions there, and we'll try to answer them. You can put questions in chat, but that's a little harder to keep track of. But we'd love to hear from all of you. There's enough people that will keep people muted unless they have a question to share, but we'd love to have you participate and involved. So with that, let's start with Alison. Would you introduce yourself and say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Derek. So my name is Alison Sahu. I'm a pranic healer and a pranic healing instructor in Pennsylvania. I found pranic healing at the end of 2013, and it has changed my life. It has changed the life of so many people that I know, people in my family, people who I've worked with. And that is why I do it. That is why I do it. So I'm delighted that everyone is here, and I'm looking forward to sharing more with you about pranic healing.
All right, fantastic. Christine.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is a wonderful group. I feel like the people who are the presenters are my friends now. And that's kind of what pranic energy healing is all about. We have found our tribe, and we have our fearless leaders, and they're nice. They're very nice. My name is Pastor Christine Haggerty, and I'm up here in Meridian, Idaho. And I opened up a pranic energy healing center. It's called Into the Light, because everything we do as pranic energy healers, we do it in the light. And it's also a spiritual counseling center. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm honored that I was asked by my mentor to be one of the speakers. Whatever she says, I say yes. I always say yes to my mentor, and that's how I continue to learn. So I look forward to sharing more, but I'm really glad you're here. Thank you.
Fantastic. Welcome. Dexter.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. I am in Southern California, and I'm very grateful that we have internet and Zoom and all of this wonderful technology so we can deal with each other like this from, 2,000 miles away. I think most of you are at least that far away. I will have my second anniversary as a pranic healer in 7 days. And I stumbled onto it after 10 years of doing energy healing with other protocols. And it's probably the most important stumble that I've ever had in my life. And I'm amazed by it. I was amazed by it when I first learned about it. I was amazed by all energy healing, actually. But I was amazed by pranic healing right from the get-go. And I'm still amazed on a daily basis at the results that we get and how we can help people from around the world, from sitting like from right here, San Diego. I've helped people from all over the world without Zoom, without cell phones, because everything's energy. And so what we do is we move energy around. So welcome, and you'll learn a whole lot more about all of that as we go along.
Fantastic. And Isabel.
Hi, my name is Isabel Therian. I'm in Gatineau, Quebec, Canada. And I started Pranic Healing in 2008. I was introduced by my best friend. And I'm also a coach. I'm also a NLP and hypnotherapy therapist. And I use Pranic Healing all the time with my clients to help people around me, whether they know or don't know it. It still works. And so I'm excited to share that more to you all tonight.
Fantastic. And Jen.
Hi, my name's Jen Rossi. I'm in Battle Creek, Michigan. I took my first class in Pranic Healing in 2011. And like Alison said, my life changed. So fast-tracked all the classes and became an instructor in 2016. And it's been a whirlwind ever since, a good whirlwind. So I'm happy to be here. Welcome, everybody.
Awesome. And Pat?
Hello, my name's Pat Dillon. I live in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, and I'm a registered nurse. And I often use pranic healing with my patients while we're either waiting for the medications to kick in or if somebody is waiting to get surgery. It just helps alleviate symptoms. I've seen remarkable results. Relief of pain, relief of insomnia, anxiety, some miraculous and startling results. So I'm excited that you all are here to learn more and to enjoy. So thank you and welcome for being here.
Awesome. Fantastic. So let's start, I think, with I think there in the world today, there's a lot that can call on our attention, but a lot of people are feeling like there's something more profound. So I was curious if any of the presenters would like to share what is it that the pranic healing has added, and kind of like to fulfill that kind of that deep urge. I think Christine, did you have is this one?
Yeah, I was going to just share how I got into pranic energy healing because I was in education for 30 years and an academic and all these things. But I was in Arizona at the Unity Spiritual Center, which is in Phoenix. It's a church, but they call it the Unity Spiritual Center, which I love. And after, each week they would have a presenter. Usually they were promoting a book or something, and I was always there. And so this particular time, I'm in the audience, and I sat in the front row, right in the middle. And no one had the front row, but the auditorium was completely full. And then a gentleman sat next to me, and we said, hello, how are you? How are you? boy, I'm excited for this to start. And he said, oh, I'm excited about it too. And not knowing anything about pranic energy healing, not knowing who's who and what's what. And so the host got up there and did the normal, hello, everybody, thank you for being here. And let's give Master Stephen Coe a round of applause. And the man next to me stands up and jumps up on the stage. And I went, oh my, I couldn't believe it. I don't believe in coincidences. And within 10 minutes of him speaking, oh, what a fabulous speaker. He had me hook, line, and sinker. I knew my life would never be the same. I knew that I was going to take, like Jen did, every course 1, course 2, course 3, course 4, 5, 6, 7, just line them up and let me go. And the whole time I kept feeling this change that was taking place in me. And the mentors and the teachers were wonderful. And when I took the first class, it's called Miracles of Pranic Energy Healing. We only use white energy or white prana, which is life force, just white. And they just teach you slowly how to move your hands. Everything's just very basic. And then the teachers came over to me, a few of them, and they noticed I was doing something differently. I thought I was in trouble, so I stopped. And they said, no, keep going. And I just was moving a different way. And they said, have you done this before? And I said, no, but I'll stop if you want me to. I want to follow instructions. And they said, hell, I have the picture of it right here. One of the, can you all see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in the beginning class, and one of the teachers says, Christine, do you know what this is? And I looked at it and I said, that's the tree of life. And they said, how do you know that? I said, I don't know. And they said, Christine, we think you've done this before. And I said, I don't know. But anyway, from that point on, just like you, Jen, I just was on the fast track. And as soon as I finished taking everything I could take, I opened up that healing center. And there's no coincidence. So, here's Master Coe sitting next to me, and we're just chatting, like, how you doing? This is exciting. And then he jumps up on the stage. And he is someone I follow 3 times a week. He does Anchors of Light, and I'm always listening to him. And the great thing about pranic energy healing, then I'll stop, is that you never stop learning. You learn all the time, and you grow with intelligence, but also spiritually. They work together. And it's my life, like so many of us have said, it's just not the same. It's better. My life got better after 50. And now I'm in my 60s, and I've never been happier or more passionate about anything. So there you go. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's there are people that don't believe in magic, that don't believe in the world working in mysterious ways, and I'm always surprised. Like, okay.
Well,
I don't know that I always felt that way, but it's just I think that there's just a lot of us just know it. It's like it's there.
And Master Coe was an engineer. He was an engineer. Talk about an academic.
Mm-hmm.
But he started doing it when his wife fell and broke her hip, and he followed the protocols. So you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a similar vein, so so Isabel, you what did you do before pranic healing, and what is there a gap that pranic healing filled?
For me, I've always felt the energy. And I remember as a teenager, I started doing what I call transfer of energy. Like somebody had, pain in the shoulder or headache or something. And I would like put my hands on them and transfer energy to help them alleviate the pain. And it didn't occur to me right at the beginning, but in that period, I had like pain in my ears, and I didn't know what was creating that pain in my ears until one day. I remember I was 19 and I was doing that to a friend from university, and suddenly the pain started at the moment I had my hands on his shoulders. It's like, oh, I am really, I was calling that transfer of energy. I was literally doing that. I was transferring my own energy. I
Mm.
was emptying my own cup. So after that, I started to look for some ways where I could actually protect myself. I even did the first two levels of Reiki because I thought this is an energy healing um, modality. And I thought, I'm looking for something to start protecting myself. I didn't find that into Reiki. And I did my NLP course, I did tapping, I did different things. And then my friend introduced me to Pranic Healing. And one of the first thing we are taught in that is how to protect ourselves, how to be a channel to receive the energy. And then, cleansing and giving the energy to people's like, ah, I never had that pain in my ears ever again after that because I was protected, but I would still be able to use my gift to help people through that. So for me, that has completely helped me in my ability to be able to help others. And this is really core to me. Like I'm drawn. This is my mission, my passion to help people. And I'm able to do it in a healthy way for me as well.
Fantastic. And Pat, was there something with you as well?
I kind of had my interesting, mysterious moment. Pardon me. So, as I mentioned before, I work as a nurse and I had worked night shift. And I remember coming to work one night and there was an older gentleman who was crying out in pain. And people told me, oh, he's been doing that. And they sort of dismissed it. And I thought, oh my God, I have to do something about this, right? So I immediately popped in there and I gave him some muscle relaxant, Flexeril. And what you do as a nurse is like within the hour, you come back and you check to see how effective that medication was. So I went in and he was still rolling around in the bed. He also had dementia. So it was several things going on with this man, severe leg pain plus dementia. So I gave him some oxycodone at that point and thought, okay, here we go. This should really knock it out. And then I come back, and sure enough, this man is still in pain and he's crying. He's crying out. And I was like, oh man. So I tried Reiki. I put my hands on him. The nice thing about Reiki, you can put your hands on somebody and it's very not intrusive. Anyway, not much was happening. Then I thought, I'm going to try the pranic healing. So I pop into the bathroom because as pranic healers, we wave our hands, we sweep stagnant energy, and then we infuse. And I thought, you can't do this with somebody with dementia, right? You can't have your hands moving around. So I head to the bathroom and I'm sweeping and then I'm energizing. And then he's crying, where are you? I need you now out here. And I'm like, oh. So I come running out again. And then he says to me, put a hole in the ceiling. I'm like, what? So, all right, where should I do this? He pointed to the corner of the room. I picked up this thing that we use to, pick up socks. And I said, right there. And I pointed to the corner. He goes, yes. So I went over and I made like, I'm really putting this hole in. And then I go over to him and then he dozes off. So I left thinking, oh, this is great. Then 2 hours later, had to go in and do some personal care. I grabbed the aide saying, come on, let's go. And she's like, no, no, he's sleeping. Don't wake him up. I'm like, oh, no, let's do our care. So I wake him up and he was comfortable. He was fine. He was calm. And I asked, hey, are you in pain? He's, no, there's no pain. Okay. So we took care of him, turned him. 2 hours later, we come back, do the same thing. No pain. He's comfortable. He's fine. I was blown away. So by the next morning, he was fine. So all was well. And then a couple of days later, I come back. He's still in the hospital. And I asked, hey, what happened to that guy? How's he doing? How's that pain? And somebody looked at me and said, oh, that resolved a couple of nights ago. So that's pranic healing. It's Reiki. It's just following what this man with dementia guided me to do. So it's pretty cool. And I just wanted to share that.
Nice one. Very nice.
Mhm. Nice. Awesome. Well, Alison, could you talk about the protection and hygiene aspects?
Yeah. So pranic healing is different from other forms of energy healing. And I found pranic healing back in 2013. It was interestingly the first form of energy healing that I learned about. But at that time, there wasn't really that much going on in my area. So I ended up taking other trainings and other modalities, half a dozen, even a little more, which actually turned out to be good because it gave me kind of an overview. It allowed me to be able to compare and contrast. And I found that pranic healing is extremely advanced compared with other forms of energy healing. And this energy hygiene part is part of that. Because before we bring in energy, we clean out the energy that should not be there. We clean out energy that is congested, that is dirty, that is diseased, that is toxic, whatever it may be. There's too much of it. It's low quality energy, whatever it is. And that makes a lot of difference. That makes a lot of difference. So there is this saying in pranic healing called fertilizing the weeds. And the idea is that before you put fertilizer in a garden, if you don't take out the weeds, not only will the fertilizer cause the flowers and the plants that you want to grow, it's also going to stimulate the things that you don't want. And that is also true with energy. When you bring in energy into a person that you're working on, that energy will help them in a lot of ways, but it can also magnify emotional issues, traumas, pain, all kinds of things that you don't want. So that's why we do a lot of cleaning. That's the energy hygiene part. Before we energize, like Pat said, we always clean. And I have heard so many stories of practitioners of other forms of energy healing where cleaning is not part of what they do. And yeah, you definitely can. You definitely can trigger unwanted things. You can. So the hygiene is part of the safety, which is important.
And if I could add something to that, the way it was explained to me is everything is energy. And if energy is all around us, how come we have, a system that is blocked or compromised? It is because we have internal blocks within us. So that's what, me too, when I actually heard about the cleansing aspect first, I was like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
If we have this flow of energy coming through us, why isn't the body healthy? What's it getting stuck on? There's blockages within. So I really appreciated that aspect of pranic healing where, you're thoroughly cleansing before the system before any energy is added, and it makes the energizing much quicker. That fresh pranic going in, the body quickly uses it, and people feel better. I think that's one of the key points of,
I think a lot of people intuitively understand the idea of blocks. But with pranic healing, we understand blocks in a much deeper way. It's not just blocks. It's congestion in different areas. It's overactivation of certain energy centers. So we have a much deeper understanding of what those blocks are.
And I think also too, in pranic healing, we subscribe to the 11 chakra model. When Theosophy brought it over to the West, they never said there was only 7, but I've heard and read that when you're bringing something new over to a group of people, you want to make it simple, you want to make it memorable. So, there are 7 chakras, but when in pranic healing, when we're dealing with ailments of the body, the founder, Grandmaster Choa, actually identified 11 major chakras that strictly affect the physical body and the health thereof. So that's the model that we use. We do a little bit more expanded version.
And if I might add to that as well, is it's not just like traumas and big things that we have accumulated over the years through the events and the people we've met and things we've done. I think it's also sometimes we can walk into an environment that is dirty in itself and we get contaminated by this, and then we bring back that crap that we have accumulated around us at home. And if we don't remove that, then we continue to stay in that dirty energy until it's removed and then cleared. Like we can walk literally with a dark cloud over our head, and it may not be visible, but invisible for some people, they can see it. Like literally you can't see because it is there.
Mhm.
And the hygiene allows to clean that energy and have a more flowing life.
And Christine, it's not always energy work, but there's a lot of practical aspects to sanitation as well, right?
Oh, there certainly is. In fact, I was so grateful. I was looking on the wall of here. I'm actually in one of my healing rooms, and there's pranic, psychic, self-defense, and people have contacted me and said, can you come clean my office? Can you come clean my home? We just moved into this house, but the people before, they had bad vibes or something. And so I always bring one of my assistants, and we go to an office or to a home, and you can scan just like you scan the body, and you have your things that you bring, and you work on the house or you work on the office. And so we do that. But the other thing we do is I always teach people, once I've done it, I teach them, now this is how you keep your office clean. This is how you keep your home clean. This is how you keep yourself clean. And I sometimes will say, come on into my healing center, turn on your video on your iPhone and just watch me. And I'm going to demonstrate an hour for you, and you have it on tape. Now take it home and learn it. And so it's just, I'm teaching them how to fish instead of always bringing them a fish dinner. I'm teaching them how to fish. But like at my center, I am very, very careful, and I work with a client, let's say 1 hour, 2 hours, and then they leave. I give myself a good hour in between to take a shower with lavender and salt. I change my clothes. And while I'm cleansing my body, the healing room is being energized with certain music, certain incense that I've lit. There's all different things that you do. You let the air out, and so I'm all ready. And then I go through some meditations and I get myself prepared. And then when my next client comes in, I always say, there's not one atom of negative energy in my healing room. Come on in. Glad to have you. Have a seat. What can I do for you? And because the last thing I want is someone to walk in that has their troubles, their burdens, their illness, whatever, and then pick up a little negative friend along the way. That's not how we operate. And then part of what I do when I'm finished, they have a little goodie bag, like what we're offering the people here. And it's how to keep yourself clean. Here's some soap, here's some spritz, here's some this, here's some that. This is what I'd like you to do 3 times a week. And the thing is about me, because I was a teacher for so long, I do give homework and I check the homework. So if I ask you to please do the Twin Heart meditation, 3 times a week. I may call you one of those days and say, so how'd that meditation go for you? Oh, you didn't have time. Well, let's do it together. Let's do it right now on Zoom. I'll do it with you. And once they do it, in fact, one of my clients said she wanted me to record it with my voice, because then she would do it. I guess I have a commanding voice. So she said if she hears my voice, she's going to meditate. So I went ahead and just read it and recorded it and sent it to her. And I thought that was pretty neat, and it helped her. So whatever it takes to help the clients, you do that. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that's really good. In pranic healing, you're not told what to do or how to do it. Well, you are told those things, but you're also shown and you learn how it works. What is the mechanism behind an incense stick? Why do sound bowls work? Why does sage work? What else is another form of space clearing? So you learn all these things as you take the class. Well, actually, in that first class, you go over hygiene and, from cleaning offices to homes to moving in new places. It's all very important because, how important is water in a fish tank? It's critical. So you don't want to be marinating in energy that is compromising your field. You're going out to a healer, spending all this money trying to get yourself well and unblocked, but you keep putting yourself back into the same environment. You're in a cycle. So when you empower your clients or individuals to, understand the tools that they use, it's extremely beneficial.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you.
So we're in a world with a lot of Western medicine and a lot of energy. And I love your point, Christine. I think I love working with magic people because yes, like whatever you need, we'll take care of.
Yes.
That spirit is so much there. But yeah, we're in a world with Western medicine and a lot of energy medicine. And I imagine here people are inclined towards being a curiosity towards energy, but how do the two mix? And Pat, you as a registered nurse, you have to kind of dance in both worlds. Can you share about that?
Sure. Like I had mentioned before, there's medication, there's treatment, and sometimes it takes a while for that to work. So while you're waiting or going through that healing process, the pranic healing comes in very nicely. I'm thinking during night shift, someone with anxiety, I could go in and work with them with the pranic healing. I got away with using my hands by saying, put a washcloth across your eyes, relax, and then I was able to do that. There are still some people with psych issues that I've used it for them as well. We've had some so-called non-compliant people that don't want to take meds. So there was a gentleman who was very paranoid. He was actually a survivor of the Russian occupation of an Eastern European country. And so it was very real what had happened to him, but he brought that with him and always had that feeling of people trying to kill him. So he would occasionally get into it with someone. And at one point, we thought it was going to lead to a physical altercation. And this man is 95 years old. So we didn't want this to happen. And I could remember going into my office, sweeping, energizing. And then he went off somewhere. We weren't sure where he was at because it's independent living. So it's not like people check in with us. But I ran into him later in the hallway, and he just looked at me. He smiled unprompted, and he said, "It went away." And he was lit up. He was so overjoyed. So it helps that way. And it also helps in so many other ways, like you could sweep medications. You could also help people. For instance, I had a friend with breast cancer, and I worked on her every day And then she developed lymphedema, which is that swelling in the one arm. So I worked on that. And so even though she was taking meds, sometimes it's not that quick. But she told me the lymphedema cleared up so quick. It was like within a couple of days, she was fine with that. So I think it speeds the healing up. It puts the energy in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was quite a bit of discussion about this leading up to this. Anybody else want to share about that dance between Western and energy?
Well, I'm happy to add a little bit because it's very interesting to me. So I won't go into this whole story, but I came into energy healing not through the front door. I came through the back basement door that had boxes and stuff blocking the entrance. It was like really hard because I was raised as anything we're talking about tonight to me was, I just call it woo-woo nonsense. Total non-believer, 100% non-believer. You could not have, none of this I would have believed. I just wouldn't. It wasn't in me to do that. And I won't bore you with the whole story, but I ended up sort of against my will getting an energy healing session for some recurring pain that I had from an old football injury when I was playing football in college. And for 30 years, I suffered with this. And modern medicine, MRIs, X-rays, doctors, specialists, podiatrists, surgeons, you name it, couldn't figure this out. And some friends of mine talked me into going to energy healing, which I did. Only the sole reason I went to, honestly, 99% of the reason I went there was so I could tell them this did not work and that it was woo-woo nonsense and to stop bothering me about it. That's honestly, well, it did work. And so I did nothing but prove myself wrong. And that very day, I started researching because I went, how does this work? I don't understand this, right? And the woo-woo nonsense gave way to science because this is really all science. Every bit of this is neuroscience. It's quantum, all the quantum sciences. That's how and why all this actually works. Even though it's been around for thousands of years, the science is just now starting to overlap the art of this. And it's doing so now like in an accelerated way. And, to Pat's point, I've been researching this recently, and I'm going to have I'm going to write an article about this or an essay or something, and I'll probably put it on the blog on Find Magic People at some point, or if you get in touch with me later on through Find Magic People, I may put it into a PDF and just make it available on the internet. But some things that are happening is that, there's a lot happening, but just highlights. There are now legit big time hospitals like the Mayo Clinic, like Cleveland Clinic, like Sloan Kettering. There are hospitals all over the United States, but there's like many, many more throughout India and the United Kingdom in particular. And they're now embracing these ideas of energy healing right into the hospital. And if you research it, you will find they don't generally call it energy healing or pranic healing. Sometimes you'll find some that talk about Reiki, but they use other names because this is like so weird. But hospitals don't do this just for fun. They don't do it just because somebody came and said this is a good thing. They do it because they can find scientifically results that are consistent and reliable and predictable that happen time and time and time and time again. And all these hospitals are also, as they're incorporating in it, they're doing tons and tons of research about the science of this and how it all works. And so one of the first things I learned about pranic healing in my very first class was there's
You somehow muted yourself. Hold on, Dexter.
that said, there's a big disclaimer on everything they handed me that said, Pranic healing does not replace medicine, modern medicine. It is a complementary modality. So I have clients all the time that are seeing their doctors for for headaches, for pains, for sore knees, for sore backs. They're getting ready for back surgery. I don't tell them don't do that because we can fix it with pranic healing. I go, cool, glad you're seeing your doctor. Keep doing that, and we'll do our pranic healing, and we'll accelerate the healing process. We'll clean up the area that's going to be operated on. We'll make it easier. I've had a slew of people who are going into surgery where the surgeon actually came to them after the surgery and said, I was shocked at how easy the surgery was, that I didn't expect it to be, because the area just was so clean for some reason. So there's this marriage going on now between modern medicine and alternative medicine, including pranic healing. And I think that we're going to see in the future that it's going to merge and merge and merge and get bigger and bigger. And I actually predict that probably not in my lifetime, but at some time in the future, people will be starting to go to their energy healer first. And if that's not working, then they'll go to the doctor.
It's a good profession to get into, yes. Growth profession. Jenna, you're muted. Are you?
How do I keep getting muted? I'm not muted.
No, Jen's muted. Jen
Oh, I'm
was-
sorry.
One of the things that the wishes that the founder said was to have, Grandmaster said, was to have a pranic healer in every home.
Right.
So that trip to the healer might not be, necessary if, you have one in every home. You remember back in the day, that grandma, that aunt, that sister that had that gift that was intuitive. It's interesting, Dexter, what you say about skeptics. If somebody walks into the room angry and doesn't say anything, it's like I usually have, when I'm talking to more of the skeptical clients, somebody walks into the room, they don't have to say anything. Their body language might be quicker, but it's the instinctual nature of ourselves, that gut feeling, that instant knowing, having your heart filled with joy, that I use to kind of tie in that chakral awareness. When a martial artist is on his knees and the sensei comes down with the sword and they kind of grab the sword right away, how do they know how to do that? It's because those katas and those exercises, they develop their auric awareness. So yeah, I find you're absolutely right with the quantum entanglement and the principle of oneness, the interconnectedness. We're all sitting in Earth's energy field. So in doing that, we really are all connected.
Yeah, and I think, Jen, like I was saying, the fact that we have now science with devices that can measure this. They can see it, they can measure it. So it's not just somebody sitting in a dark room with incense and a candle saying it. It's like it's being proven every single day, more and more and more and more. So that satisfies me because I don't hardly sense energy at all.
Yeah.
I don't really feel energy very much. One of the reasons I was drawn to pranic healing is because we've got these giant books that are filled with recipes. We call them protocols because we want to make it fancy. Okay. But it's not fancy. It's a freaking recipe. It says if somebody has a headache, go to the index, look up headache, and you get right there what Master Choa, the founder of modern day pranic healing, he wrote down all the steps. First thing to do, sweep the person clean, get rid of all the old. So every pranic healer in the world is going to see the same recipe. Number one, sweep the thing. Number two, clean the ajna chakra, clean the throat chakra with this color of prana, with this exact frequency.
Yeah.
Number three, I can read
Yeah.
and I can follow instructions. And so I get really good results, but I hardly feel energy at all. So don't think if you're one of my type of people that was a non-believer or a skeptic, or you decide to try it or think about it or come find one of us or somebody else to do energy healing on you, and you don't feel the energy while they're doing it or whatever, don't worry about that, because the only thing that matters is the result.
And I think it's not if, it's when, right? Wouldn't you
Yeah,
say?
well, no,
It's not
normally,
if it's going
yeah.
to happen, it's when it's going to
Yeah,
happen.
it's going to happen to some degree. I mean, if somebody
Exactly.
comes in there and has, stage 4 cancer and says, can I be healed tomorrow? And you say, yes, I think that's probably really, really highly deceptive.
Yeah.
But if they still get an energy healing session that day, they'll probably feel better,
Yeah.
feel lighter, they'll feel more comfortable, they'll feel like something has happened, even though they may not even be able to define it.
And I was actually referencing the ability to feel energy. You may not feel energy when you
Right.
begin. It's not it's not
When
an
I
if, it's a
when I
when.
had my first energy healing session, that like I was trying to prove that it was all a fake, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything until I started walking out to my car, and where this trauma was a pain was from my old injury, it was slightly less. It wasn't like cured. It wasn't like a miracle. It was a little less. And I went, well, this is interesting. And that's what got me to go dig into the research. And I convinced myself that it was science, and I can live with science. I can deal with science. I can't deal with woo-woo nonsense.
Right.
So it works for me.
Energy gets into the system. Just to kind of expand on what you're saying, as you had a little bit alleviation of pain. That energy block, we have a whole system, and that's what I appreciated too. In Pranic Healing, you learn about this whole system of energy and how energy has the ability to get blocked over time, and almost like a snowball becoming bigger and bigger down a hill, things tend to collect there. So with each healing, you are removing a layer, you are freeing up the system, because the aura, unlike a glass of old coffee, dump it out, fill it with new, you have to displace the energy. And as you displace the energy, those blockages come to the surface. And with each healing, each layer is removed, and the chakra then opens up, and you remove what's deep in the stem, and the prana flows. Health begins to anchor, and the body gets back into balance.
Yeah,
And
with
Derek,
chronic healing, it does often take a series of healings for the more serious conditions. It's not one and done for people who have a chronic condition, who have cancer, who have something that's been going on for a very long period of time, emotional, whatever it is. And the protocols will say how often to repeat them. Sometimes we do have incredible results, 1 or 2 healings, it's just incredible. But more often it's more incremental. But it does work. It
Yes,
does
it does.
work.
so
And
Derek,
if I might go back to what Dexter was saying earlier about, the technology is catching up on being able to assess what we can do. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, I was attending an event and I was staying in a house with a number of other people. And there was this guy who was selling a device, about $4,000, I think, the piece of device, but it could scan the aura, it could scan the chakras and everything. And we did a test. We had fun. We were just a little group, a very close group. So the device scanned a person, and what I did is he was looking at the result on the device and I was scanning the chakras, and we got exactly the same results.
Nice.
So instead of going for a very expensive device, you
right,
get the same thing that you can learn and then you can use over and over.
right. And Derek, if I can just back up to one of the first questions you asked about, what void does energy healing, why did you do, what was the void that you wanted to fill? I didn't have a void I wanted to fill. That was not my purpose at all. And I didn't even realize this because I had an amazing career. I did so many different things, and it was awesome. And everything I did, like what, or I worked for a home builder, so we built homes. That was good for people. I had a retail store. I sell things that people like. I was executive producer of a country western movie music album, so people got to hear this music. So everything I did was beneficial, but I didn't realize this until I started doing energy healing and pranic healing. Like it just carries this on so well. Realize that this is more than just doing something for people. This is serving people in a way that can one-on-one change their lives. And that's different. That's a big deal.
To that point, we're all talking about stories and experiences. And actually, you're absolutely right, Dexter. It's life-changing because it creates in you, or it awakens in you, this dynamic, inspired feeling of, oh my gosh, maybe it's because, yeah, there is something more. Maybe it's because people recognize the change in you. You recognize the change in yourself. But it's transformative. And it's not, there are people that get into pranic healing to be completely of service to others. But most often, they're people that are pranic healers, they're looking to help a loved one. They're looking because they're at the rope's end. I myself got into pranic healing. I had opened up a retail center, a bookstore wellness center, and I knew energy was a main component in helping people change their lives. So we had the yoga, we had the massage, we had the acupuncture, we had meditation, we had all these things. But I'm like, I set out to find an energy modality, and pranic healing checked all the boxes.
Right.
It weaves its thread through many, traditions, 35 years of research and development. Grandmaster Choa was a businessman, so his business took him all over the world. And, he sought out the best clairvoyants, and, he had them observe as he would be working on people with diabetes and collecting all that information together. That's how these protocols or recipes started. And, I believe pranic healing's probably the only one that uses these types of protocols. And you're right, they can be repeated over and over and over again, wherever you're at, whatever country you're in.
There's no guesswork, even for
There is no guesswork.
sensitive. I don't need to know your chakras big or small or dirty or anything. I just do the protocol, and the energy, which has its own consciousness, knows what we're doing, and it fixes it. It's like, that's why I think I said this at the beginning. I'm amazed every day, even though I understand the science now. I'm still amazed when I do what I do, and then somebody goes, "Oh my God, I feel so much better. My back doesn't hurt anymore." I go, don't blame me. It's just the energy. All I do is I just read the instructions and direct the energy the way it says to do it.
Yeah.
No magic. There's no magic in me.
I agree with what you're saying, that I always relied on results. And so my scanning, I never really trusted. And up until very recently, I kind of felt like, oh, I can't really pick up on this. But very recently, I learned I could. I didn't trust it. So a lot of it for the beginning for me was that's it. It's like such a little strange, slight sensation. So I think once you pick up on that, you realize, wow, this scanning is accurate. And then the other thing that I thought was cool, you talked about clairvoyance. I had worked on somebody. Apparently she was clairvoyant, and we use colors as pranic healers. We put out colors as we're, sending out energy. This person was telling me what color was coming out as I was projecting. So that blew my mind. So all these various ways, it just confirms what you're doing as you experience it. You keep going with it. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I teach. Well, when when we're to that segment where scanning is taking place, the instruction is that I find that students find very helpful is your awareness is on your palm, and you're coming into the aura as if you're trying to feel the edge of a cloud. As soon as you feel a something, that's it. You just got to go with it. And so many people, Pat, they just want to keep going until they want to feel something. And I'm like, no, as soon as you just feel a something, that's what it is. That's where it is. You can be good with it. Yep.
And then you got to trust.
Yep.
Jen, that's so funny, because when I first started and after my first basic class, right? So when they say feel the energy, when you feel the energy, well, I was expecting it to feel like a volleyball or something, right? And so there's nothing here. What are you talking about, right? It's still really hard for me. I'm a little bit better at picking up the subtle energy, but again, and I think Christine mentioned Master Co. Master Co was like teaching. He worked directly with Master Cello, and for years and years, and never felt any energy at all. But he was teaching classes. I remember in a video I saw of him, he was talking about how he was up in front of an auditorium filled with prospective students, and they were making energy balls in the audience. He goes, how many felt the energy? And so everybody raised their hands. And he goes, I was the only one in the whole auditorium who felt energy.
If I could also join in on this, I love this conversation. In my first pranic energy healing class, Miracles of Pranic Energy Healing, it was held in Arizona, and my teachers were Dwayne and Susan Anderson, beautiful teachers. We went outside, and Dwayne said, okay, I'm going to enlarge he was going to enlarge his aura, his field of energy. So we were all around in a small circle, and as we felt that, we were all supposed to take a step back, take a step back. And so I said, okay. So I'm standing there, and we're all in a circle, and he said, just close your eyes. I did. I closed my eyes, but I could feel everybody in the class, they were moving away from me, but I didn't feel a thing. So I stayed still. I did not peek and go, oh, I'm 15 feet behind everybody. I need to make the circle, a nice circle. No, I just stayed there. And then the teacher said, okay, open your eyes and take a look. And everybody, it was a perfect circumference, perfect. And then here's me right next to the teacher. It just went right past me. And I'm just like, well, at least I didn't peek. At least I'm honest. If I don't feel it, I'm not going to fake it. And that's a good story because, and now here I am with the healing center, and you don't let those things stop you. You trust in the protocols. You trust in the teachings of the great masters, and you don't have to be the best at everything. You just know it works, and that's why we say an invocation and a prayer before we begin, and then we say a prayer of thanksgiving and blessings, thank you, when we finish, because we all know that we don't work alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I just want to touch on one thing because I think there's a lot out there like me. I was raised with a very religious overtone. So I was always like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean? Just do it because you say so. So I appreciated the fact that in the beginning of the class, it was like, don't take my word for it. Experiment. Try it for yourself. You're not supposed to believe everything you hear in this class. Experiment with it, begin to understand it, utilize it, and then make your own conclusions. So I really appreciated that too. And I know when I'm teaching class, a lot of people do too. But yes, you are right. We do not work alone.
We do not work alone.
There have been some questions that I want to have. They've been being discussed in the chat, but I wanted to bring them up for the recording. So one question was, can you do pranic healing on yourself? And I think I know the answer, but how do you guys use, like, what areas do you use it in your own life, and in addition to what you do with others?
So you actually can use pranic healing on anything for yourself, just as you would use it on someone else. It just depends on what your comfort level is. Personally, I tend to use it for small things like bee stings, bug bites, cold sores, things like that. Just because I don't have a lot of big things that I need to use it on. However, there are people in our community who have self-healed for big things like cancer. And that's pretty amazing. The protocols will work when you use them on yourself. It's just a question of if you're comfortable working on yourself. And that's the case with any kind of modality. Some people would just prefer to hire someone rather than do it on themselves. But if you want to do it, you can.
Yep. For animals, I sweep my calendar before, and we're saying sweeping. What I guess what we should be saying, we're cleaning, we're cleansing.
Cleansing. Yeah.
Yeah, we're cleansing a certain specific thing, relationship, area, room of stuck stagnant energy. Because it's not always, dirty or it's low frequency, it's just stagnant. Sometimes it's just not budging. Sometimes it's almost calcified in certain areas. It can be in the aura. But to cleanse a calendar, to cleanse a room, to cleanse, look forward, look at the calendar and see that you have a trip coming up, cleanse that. You have an argument with somebody. There's always ties that we connect, our auras connect with one another. You can clean relationships. So it's.
And business and money as well, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Before a business meeting, clean your
Before a
solar
meeting.
plexus. Oh yeah. So when
Um,
you say self-healing, you can do it on yourself. You can visualize yourself, off the body. You can, there's lots of ways. Yes. So I'd say self-healing
But
was.
those are higher teachings, though. Cleansing your calendar, cleansing your business, cleansing your situations. That's not really taught in the basic class. I mean, you do have to have a little bit more of an understanding to do things like that.
I've used it before
Realistically.
talking to someone who I anticipated a difficult conversation. So it's just basic sweeping the situation.
Sure.
I invoke whenever I go out on 422. It's
Sure.
just such a horrible
Sure.
road. So that's simple daily things that we could do.
Yeah.
There was a question also, I think in the Q&A that from Samuel, I think, whether pranic healing addresses the symptoms or the cause. And Jen, I think you had talked about how you're kind of freeing the energy to flow and letting the body do its work. So anyway, that's just a little bit of a prompt, but can you talk about how it addresses, like
So
how
what exactly was the question?
does pranic healing address the symptoms or the cause?
The symptoms or the cause?
Does it alleviate or does it cure? I guess would be another way of putting it. Does it make you just feel better, or does it kind of work at the root, like the underlying issues?
I'm just trying to clarify your question because this is kind of like it can be multiple answers. So Alison, do you know what he's talking about?
Yes. I answered it. Well, no, I mean, it's a good question. And I think, we try to address the cause whenever we can. Of course, we want to address the symptoms also. It depends on the situation. It just does. Sometimes we don't know the cause. Sometimes we have to start with the symptoms. It's so individual. We try to address both, and that was actually my answer in the chat. My answer was both. But sometimes it's only possible to address the symptoms, and that's true not only with pranic healing, but with everything. Whenever we can, we try to address the cause so that it doesn't come back.
Excellent.
Example of that, there's a woman I'm working with who has a growth, and it's sort of weird. It's like with scanning, I found that there was something in the armpit which was close to the site of the growth. And so I swept that area. And then she later said that she felt this was getting smaller. I mean, we're going to confirm it with imaging in the middle of the month. There's also someone else we're working on for cancer, and she had some kind of pain in her wrist, which sounds sort of odd. But again, the same thing. I always find when somebody has one case, I seem to have a similar case. And that was another armpit situation of sweeping, sweeping, sweeping. And sure enough, that alleviated that wrist pain. So
Yeah, my answer was gonna be short, Derek. I was just gonna say both.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough. So I really appreciate the camaraderie here. Can you talk about the kind of community? Because there's something really I appreciate about what I've learned from all of you is the community aspects, and there's pods and there's a support network. Can you talk about that? Because I think that there's lots of things that people can study, but knowing that there's more than just their
Yeah.
personal study makes a difference.
Yeah, having a wellness center and kind of being in the community of all the different energetic modalities and the complementary and alternative therapies that are out there. When COVID hit, I was super surprised at how quick, the senior pranic healers got out on the web. They were doing their free meditations. They were kind of doing their best to alleviate fear. They were offering a ton of stuff. And Master Glenn hit it out of the park with his pods, him being from the medical realm, and he's a doctor. So he was right there organizing his pranic healers, and the pods just took off. And I think, Alison, you were part of that initiative, right?
Yeah, yeah, Project Hope for Healing. And that was set up by Master Glenn in early 2020. He and a number of senior instructors got together. They developed a protocol for COVID, Delta variant at that time. And then he invited pranic healers to set up these healing pods. And there were 68 of them, mainly in the US, but also in other countries. And we all worked voluntarily on COVID patients, some of them very ill, some of them very ill. And we met, all the pods were self-governing, which was really brilliant. So Master Glenn didn't tell anybody this is how you had to run your pods. He gave us the protocol. He said you can meet whenever you want, however often you want. You do it however you want. They let people know that we were available for COVID healings, and they sent us patients. And of course, people found us. So over time, it's been a few years since 2020, and some of those pods stopped as the healers went back to their lives. They went back to work, whatever they were doing, and some of them continued. And our pod continued. We don't only work on COVID patients, haven't for a while. Now we work on many different types of serious illnesses. We've done more than 10,000 healings, not quite 11,000 yet, but more than 10,000 healings since 2020, more than 700 patients. Some of them we've worked on for several conditions. They got better from once and then they contacted us when they got sick again, that type of thing. And I see Isabel and Dexter quite regularly in our healing pod, including this morning. So actually, why don't you guys talk about the community? I think it would be better for people to hear from you about what you think about it.
Ladies first, Isabel.
For me, I joined Alison's pod in the fall, and we were talking about it. I don't even know how I ended up in that pod, how I met Alison's community, but I would say I've been there 3 times a week pretty much since, and I feel like there's a great support network. Even though I've been in pranic healing for a long time, when somebody that is more new would ask a question, Alison would have a very simple and clear explanation. And sometimes it's either something I didn't remember or something I didn't know. And I feel I'm keeping my knowledge like up to date, and I'm learning new things. Sometimes it's little tricks to accelerate a way to do healing. And I feel like there's a great support. And for example, my mom this morning had an eye surgery, and I did ask yesterday to Alison, can someone work on her? Because sometimes I feel it's more difficult to work on my family members, because even it's the same in the medical world. They say don't work on your family members, somebody else would take care of them. I feel the same way. I rather have somebody else to work on my family members, and then I can pick up another case that I can work on. And there's a great support in that sense, and very good camaraderie in the group. I love it. Like somebody said earlier, Allison is my mentor, even if she doesn't know that.
Actually, I learned from you guys as well. I learned a lot from you guys. Dexter, I mean, we see each other frequently to heal.
Yeah, we see each other a lot. At the very beginning, I said I've only been doing pranic healing for just going on 2 years. So the day after, and I got it, not to belabor this story, but I got involved because I went to one of Allison's events on a Friday, which is just a meditation called Meditation on Twin Hearts. And it was the first time I was exposed to it, and I liked it for a lot of reasons that I won't go into. And then I asked Allison if there was a class out in California, right? Because she was going, well, I have a class coming up, and but I didn't know where she was from. I just was there, and she has this class, but she doesn't say it's in Pennsylvania. She says I have a class coming up on
You could have flown in.
blah 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 blah.
They
And
have
so I
great.
go, oh, good. I go, that's cool. Where's the class? She goes, in Pennsylvania. I go, oh my God, all this pitch, and I'm not coming to Pennsylvania. Do they have classes in California? So Allison is very helpful. Okay. I said, do they have classes in California? And she said, yes. And I said, can you tell me where I can find them or anything about them? She says, no, look it up. So that's how we started our relationship. So I found a class. I took the class. The first day out of the basic class, this is where you just learn the very basic stuff. I go to the healing pod because Allison sent me an email and said, come to the healing pod. You're going to like it. And I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. She said we'd do advanced cases. And so I go to the healing pod, and she assigns everybody to patients from her eternal list of patients. And she goes, okay, Dexter, I'm going to have you work on a dog today. And I go, Allison, they didn't teach me how to work on dogs in basic. You know that you're a teacher. How am I supposed to do this? Allison, she's very helpful. She says, well, they basically have the same chakras as humans, just clean them. You'll be fine, right? So that's the instruction I got. That was on a Monday. Just stick with me. We're going to work on, it's a family divorce. I'm going to work on the daughter. You're going to work on the husband. And I'm going to tell you step by step exactly what to do. That was my introduction. And I've never stopped learning from Allison.
He did take the classes, by the way.
I did take the classes. I now am officially beginner, advanced, and pranic psychotherapist. So I've done them all now. But it's like, as I always say it, if you're a pranic healer and you're just starting out, and you don't go find an Allison or a healing pod or some community that you can get involved with, you're going to remain in elementary school, probably, in your adventure in pranic healing.
That's a good point. There's so many opportunities to use it. There's so many outlets to use it. The meditations, the healing clinics, the pods. Yes. Absolutely. There's lots to do. You're absolutely right, Dexter.
In Allison's healing pod, I can't speak for any other one. I've never been to another one. In Allison's healing pod, if you go regularly, you will get a PhD in pranic healing. Just by everybody's asking questions, you get to hear everybody's questions. All the time, and there's such energy, and it's like, I try to never miss a day.
Yeah, you don't miss a day. No, but we do a lot of healings. It's a wonderful group.
Tons of
healings. It is, and people contribute information too. So it's a great group.
And we get a lot of cases that we would never get on our own.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and I would add that because when you work regularly with pranic healing and we have a lot of cancer cases in the group, and I've worked on different cancer patients over the 6 months or so, and I feel that I can go a lot faster into a protocol because the energy is channeling a lot faster through me, and also because I feel I'm getting out of my own limitation. Like sometimes at the beginning, the very first time, like even before I joined the pod, I was doing a cancer protocol. It took me like 2 hours, 15 minutes, I think, to go through all the steps because it's one of the longest protocols that we have in the book. And now I can shrink it within about 50 minutes to do the same thing and get the same results. So it's like I got more comfortable to be able to go through that.
Yeah. If you play golf, it's like going to the driving range every day.
Mhm.
Right? You just practice. You get to practice.
Exactly.
You get a case handed to you. You don't have to go out and find somebody. Get a case handed to you by Alison, and you have the coach right there. If you have any questions at all, you ask the coach. And if she doesn't know, then Isabel will know, or one of the other participants somebody will know.
Well, I want to be, and so so Alison, you're involved in a lot of activities, and those are available for practitioners, people that are pranic healers that have taken some classes, as well as for people that haven't, is right? So,
Yeah.
this applies to anybody that's curious, not just practitioners,
Yes.
but I mean, the feel of support between
Mhm.
everybody, I think, is really palpable and something that I really, really appreciate. For people that are considering or curious, Alison, could you talk a little bit about what is it like to take a class, to move into to actually being a practitioner?
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of people learn pranic healing for different reasons. And I teach the basic class in Pennsylvania, in New Jersey. Jen teaches the basic and advanced class in Michigan. The classes are all in person. They're not online. If you want to learn how to do this, you got to come in person. Um, people learn for all different reasons. Some people, like me, have something going on with someone close to them. It's a big problem. Nothing's really working, so they want to give pranic healing a try. Maybe it's something in their own life, but it's a problem that they want to solve. Other people are already in kind of a related profession. Maybe they're a massage therapist, they're a counselor, they're a school teacher, they're a nurse. A lot of nurses actually learn pranic healing. They work with other people and they want another tool. Great. I've had clients who've learned pranic healing because they've seen the results and they want to understand more about how it works. So there can be all kinds of reasons. It's kind of like typing, it's like that basic of a skill. When you learn how energy works, everything in your life becomes easier. You don't have to want to become a professional pranic healer. Most people don't, but they want to have a greater understanding of how energy works and how they can do some things for themselves and their families just to live better. And pranic healing will do that. It's a 2-day training. My classes are on the weekends, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. I teach them at different places. My next class is going to be at a community college. This one here behind me. I'm not actually
Ah.
there. It's a Zoom background, but it's a picture of it, right? And in fact, I was there today. It's a nice place. But learning energy healing just makes everything in your life better. It's kind of like a basic life skill. It's too bad that they don't teach it in the school system, but they don't. But you can take it on a weekend and you can learn.
Did you say the price, or do you want people to contact you for the price of the course?
So the price is incredibly low for what you get. My classes are around $450. I had a recent one that was a little bit more only because meals were included. But generally speaking, they're around 450. And when you include all the extras like the healing pod and all the things in our community,
Oh
it's
yeah, the
quite the
mentorship
value.
alone that you
The
provide
mentorship.
is priceless.
Yeah,
You to take an energy modality and then be able to be in contact with the instructor and receive continued guidance and support. I you know, you'd have to pay for that extra, which is kind
absolutely.
of built into the model. Your local area will have meditation nights. You're doing the meditation Twin Hearts. You're strengthening the aura. You're then, have the opportunity after taking basic pranic healing to be involved in a healing clinic. You're
Yes.
doing service for the community, building good karma. So it's a system that's absolutely brilliant.
It is. It is brilliant. And I think people kind of don't realize, as some people realize actually, how much they're getting. So many people. I mean, people tell me on kind of a daily basis that they really appreciate and that it feels like a family to them. And, I hear that. I hear that a lot. And it means a lot, actually. So please, guys, keep saying it. Don't stop. But, I think it does. I think people do appreciate that. So yes, pranic healing is very unique that way. It's very unique that way. And that's why I love it, because it's a container. And I have to say that this goes all the way through to the pranic healing masters, the 8 masters, and the management above the masters from the Philippines, the founder, and how it's all managed. It's an incredible container that has been built for all of us. So that was what made me decide to focus on pranic healing and not something else. Because I've studied other things, I've studied plenty of things, but I really love what we're able to do with pranic healing.
And did you want to share a little bit as well?
About classes?
Yeah.
So we have across the state, we have 4 clinics. We have them in Harrison Township, Royal Oak, Okemos, Lansing, and hopefully there's another one coming more west side of the state. I have classes in Michigan. The venue is doing the round robin. So I have a class coming up April 18th, 17th, and 18th, 19th, I think that weekend is. A basic class. I usually hold a couple basic classes before I do an advanced class. So the price is the same. All the classes are priced the same.
And Jen, you had a wonderful story that came up about the start of pranic healing that I loved, and if you could remember how you shared like um something about how he was looking for the right people, but he was kind of gathering. I don't remember how it started. I apologize, but it was magical the way you described it.
Oh, how the founder started Pranic
Mhm.
Healing? Oh, I think I touched on that. Being a businessman, he had the ability to travel and get in contact with many clairvoyants. So he put together the system through there. Is that what you're looking for?
You had it was a little, you just was talking about like he was gathering people that were gifted and like had the feel, I thought. That it really impressed me that it was sort of like
I don't recall. Are you talking about the master pranic healers?
I believe so. And I
I don't
apologize. I don't
recall.
want to put you on the spot, and I don't want to confuse everybody.
I don't recall. Did you
That's all
record
right.
it?
That's all right. So we're right about at 9 o'clock, and just for everybody's clear, if anybody has any last minute questions, please put them in the chat or the Q&A. But please follow up with everybody here. I think there will be we'll send out an email with the goodie bag, so there will be lots of bonuses for ways to connect with all the speakers here. I want to say this just such a wonderful thanks to all of you for showing up, to all the visitors for taking the time to learn and share with us. To me, I love working with magic people, and so it's there's families within families, and I think Pranic Healing clearly has such a beautiful family, and I encourage everybody to if you haven't had a session, figure out how to connect with Alison or Jen or Isabel in Canada or anybody and take advantage of the goodie bags to get an experience, or if you are a pranic healer, be in the community, keep going, and everybody's invited to find magic people. The goal there is to really build the community and gather like-minded souls. So it's not just pranic healing, but this is pranic healing is the I thanks so much to Alison for all of her hard work. So any last things from anybody here?
Derek, I just when do you think people will be getting their goodie bags? Because you know what happens if they don't get them in an hour, they're going to be calling you to find out where they are.
It'll be tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it won't be tonight. It won't be in an hour.
Come on, it's the 21st century.
Yes, well, yes. All right, well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, everybody. And I think that's it. It looks like we're done with questions. So yeah, look for your goodie bags. Stay in touch. And presenters, thank you so much for being here. Really.
Derek, thank you
Thanks.
for organizing this.
Thank you to everyone. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Derek.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Namaste to everyone. Namaste.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Derek. Thank you, Allison. And thank you,
Thank you, everybody.
everyone, for
Excellent.
coming.
And this will be, the recording will be up on YouTube within a couple days. It should be.
Excellent.
Daniel, don't work outside of time. Yeah, well, fantastic. All right, have a great night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good job, everyone.
Mhm.